Hey, y'all, listen, we're still talking about data centers because it's not over, so we shouldn't stop talking. We're running hours and hours about these data centers in hopes that you'll do the same. Today, we have a very special guest with us, and that of Kyle Crider, who is the policy director for the People's Justice Council. That's right. We bring it our very own in to have some conversation about these data centers. But before we bring Kyle in, we want to introduce none other than our sister from another mister, in that of Lindsay Harper. Lindsay, thank you for being with us. And let's do this. Let's do it, do it,
Hey,
do it.
I love it. No, good to be here. Glad to be here always. Super excited to be talking to Kyle. He's the data center guy. He knows the things. And so let's definitely get into it. Super excited.
Kyle, how we doing today?
Well, I'm feeling much better after that intro, Rev. I love the energy. Thank you. I need it.
Good, good. I'm glad you're here with us. As Lindsay has said, Kyle is everything data center. In fact, when we talked about minus AI, let me give credit where credit is due. It was Kyle that brought to us the fact that AI is not something that we need and that it is a forced demand and a made up demand that's causing this bubble that we know will burst at some point. But Cal is our resident expert on all things AI and data centers. And so we thought it was important to bring our team member on and have a conversation around these data centers. Cal, let me ask you, can you give us an overview of why it was that you decided that, discovered, excuse me, that AI was just something that was being pushed on us and that we could use minus AI to stop us from stop AI from tagging along with us wherever we went.
Thank you, Rev. Happy to do so. I didn't come up with this concept. I'm learning like all of y'all. Now, I'm an educator. As a college professor, I know that there are legitimate uses of AI. AI is a tool, and data centers aren't just for AI. Data centers can be put to all kinds of good uses. If we didn't have data centers, we wouldn't be having this podcast right now. But I learned at it was actually at a southern, I'm sorry, um, a Southeast Climate and Energy Network. I'm so used to saying Southern Environmental Law Center these days, but it was actually a Southeast Climate and Energy Network convening where I first learned a number of things that, quite frankly, I didn't want to know about AI, and that was where I first heard about the minus AI search operator. And I'll get into those details later. Not to uh, do a preview of that, but we what I learned is that it is not the legitimate use of AI that is driving hyperscale data centers like the one going in or proposed. We're fighting it right down the road from me in Bessemer, Alabama. It is the unnecessary, the wasteful use of AI, such as automatically giving you an AI summary result on every internet search from every major internet search provider. Um, so I'll be happy, like I say, to give more details. But when I learned that's that was where I first heard minus AI, and I'm like, we need a campaign.
Cal, let me just say we ain't holding back on this People Power podcast. We bring the phone. So if you got it, bring it. You got data, bring it. You got stuff. The reason why we need you on here is so the people can know that this is unnecessary, but it's also destructive and unsustainable.
Yes,
So
sir.
we need people knowing that. But before we get in back on to you, Cal, so you can bring that funk, let's get some funk out of Lindsay. Lindsay, we're talking about these data centers. We're talking about AI. We know Arm and Arm, who is a program of the People's Justice Council. You being the national director, you made a decision that Arm and Arm would join forces in this campaign with the People's Justice Council. I'd love to hear your reasoning, and
Yeah.
I can only assume the people would love to hear your reasoning behind wanting to throw our head in the ring together collectively and work on this.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. So, Arm in Arm birthed the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign, leveraging the voices of people living in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, ratepayers from Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, who are paying their utility bills to a subsidiary of Southern Company, whether it be Mississippi Power, Alabama Power, or Georgia Power. That Southern Company, is not a good neighbor. Southern Company is a monopoly, dirty energy company that leverages its power and its money to continue damaging the environment, polluting the water, polluting the air, and charging ratepayers. I'm a Georgia Power customer, charging ratepayers for the dirty energy construction and energy generation. So the idea is that people need to know that there is someone we can point to who is impacting our daily lives based on how much money we're spending on our utilities. Okay, so that's the Power for Southern People, Not Southern Company campaign that came out of Arm in Arm. Okay, and Arm in Arm is working to end the climate crisis, centering racial and economic justice. Um, Perfect example of centering racial and economic justice is here in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, where you've got this, again, dirty energy company that is essentially gaining money and increasing the value of their stocks off the backs of underserved and Black and brown communities. So when thinking about this new technology that Southern Company, Georgia Power, Mississippi Power, Alabama Power are all supporting and getting behind, is only going to make our energy usage and our energy economies across the Southeast worse. Okay, the economies are already, again, off the backs of the earth and off the backs of the people, and the data centers are going to use up water that would have gone to people. It's going to use up land that could be used to feed or house people. And so it seems like it makes a whole lot of sense that this is the newest next frontier of technology that's going to be using so much of this dirty energy and encouraging the production of more dirty energy. It's a natural fit. So very, very glad to be working with the Minus AI campaign, and very much appreciate Kyle for the wealth of information that he's provided to help us learn, because this is an ongoing thing. There's not a lot of precedent for it. So we're learning just as you all are.
But now, when we look at the data centers, Kyle, and just how is it that these data centers are being constructed as rapid as they are? And in essence, I'm saying, what got us to this place? I guess that's the question I'm asking. We've got data centers going off, going up all over the place. There are NDAs that are being signed that aren't informing the community. The communities don't know what's going on, but they're suffering the burden of having these data centers in their yards, in their backyards. How did we even get here in the first place?
And why does it have to be a secret? Just
Right.
curious.
Well, my simple answer, you asked me not to hold back. So my simple answer is it is good old fashioned corporate greed that has gotten us into this situation. This is a speculative bubble. AI is a speculative tech bubble that honestly may make the .com look like child's play. In fact, I have a quote here from this is a Guardian news article that just appeared today in my news feed. So I'm quoting from Guardian. Former IMF, that's International Money Fund, chief economist Gita Gopinath, and I'm probably massacring that name, but this former IMF chief economist estimates that if the market crashes like it did after the .com bubble, when it burst at the turn of the century, it could wipe out $20 trillion in wealth held by American households and $15 trillion in wealth held by investors in the rest of the world. And who's paying for this? I mean, I'm going to shed no tears if some of the richest in the world their stock value declines. But for those of us that are actually paying these bills, that is actual ratepayers, here's what we're looking at. I'm quoting from CNN now. Data centers are projected to consume up to 12% of U.S. electricity in 2028. That's up from 4.4% in 2023. And that's according to a 2024 report from the Department of Energy. A Bloomberg News analysis found that areas near data centers saw an increase in electricity costs of as much as 267%. Yes, 267% compared to 5 years ago. So, if your power bill is going up more than 50% a year, that's a problem. It's those who can least afford to pay that are making money on the already rich.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, if your power bill is going up like that, it's only a matter of time before your utilities clash economically with your end of the month. And so, as a result, you'll have less money left at the end of the month than you have month left at the end of your money. And so that can be an extreme problem as we look at the fact that these rates are increasing astronomically to support these data centers. And the reality is we hadn't even seen the full build out of these things yet. So we're still going. We're still going. You were going to say something, Kyle.
Well, I was just going to go. You're absolutely right. And getting back to the previous question, who's building these data centers? Well, for hyperscale data centers in particular, these tend to be very specialized companies. So all these promises of jobs in rural communities, and we know the jobs go away after the data center is built. First off, data centers need babysitters, not employees, and so it's not even going to be local labor building these things. It is lose if you are a rural community or any community where one of these monstrosities goes in. And for a hyperscale data center, let me give you some idea of what we're talking about. The one down the road from me is the equivalent. In fact, it's more than the equivalent of 18 super Walmarts. Imagine 18 super Walmart, not just one super Walmart, but 18 in your backyard, polluting your air because these all have diesel generator backups, blah, blah, blah. You've heard this elsewhere. But raising your power bill through the roof. I'll stop there and let y'all redirect because I can go on all day about this.
Well, Kyle, we got you on as a guest, so you can go on all day. So feel free, sir.
Thank you, Rev.
Well, if I can interject and just say, it's almost like we ratepayers are being asked to contribute to our own demise, to contribute to paying to make sure that shareholders and big companies are getting paid at the same time while using up the resources and in theory possibly losing jobs. So it's not really a model that seems to work. It does not seem to be sustainable. If you have a growing base of people who aren't able to pay as much, who are taking on all this burden, it's almost like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And it's not a sustainable model because wages aren't going up. People may be losing their jobs or paying more for food, gas, water. So at some point, the well's going to have to run dry. So again, that's not sustainable either. So
you got that right, Lindsay. In fact, here's a term, y'all know it, but some of our listeners, some of our audience may not. Privatized profits, socialized costs. We hear all this blah 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 about it's capitalism, it's the economy, and socialism is bad, capitalism is good. Well, what we have now is not capitalism. What we have are privatized profits, what they're calling capitalism for the rich. But socialized costs, that is, it's all of us that are paying for this. It's all of us that pay the bill, not only while it's running, but we pay the bill when it goes down. I can't tell you in my long storied environmental career, how many bad actors have gone bankrupt. It's a get out of hell free card. Superfund site owners and so forth. And when the speculative bubble costs, it's not going to be the big wigs paying the bill. They're going to declare bankruptcy, and it's us ratepayers and taxpayers that have to foot the bill. That's socialized. That's the worst kind of socialism.
But I mean, even now though, Cal, we footing the bill. When
Oh
you
yeah.
look at the fact that all the upgrades that they have to do to the system, we have to pay for. The tax credits that are given to these corporations to come into our communities, uh, we're paying for that. So in essence, we're paying for our own poison. Uh, let me ask you, Cal, and Lindsay, actually, when it comes down to AI and these data centers, well, AI in particular, um, what is it that we can do as the public to somehow curve, somehow manage, somehow bend the appetite, diminish the appetite even of this false drive that we're experiencing right now, this false demand that we're experiencing right now.
Well, I would say that the me as myself as someone who's an internet user, right? Not so much an AI user, but just in learning that minus AI in a search bar is a thing. I think it's just a really great start. And so for me, just in recently having launched the minus AI campaign on, what was that, October 9th or October 12th, people came up to me during the People's Justice Council gala at the end, or like, Lindsay, thank you so much for talking about this. I had no idea. So I think that, one of the things that we need to continue to do is to tell people that there even is an option. And actually, Kyle, I was going to ask you something similar. So yes, in curbing the demand, but like you mentioned that the proposed Bessemer plant by you is maybe on pause right now. Is there something, what did y'all do to get that thing on pause?
Well, I wish I could say it was on pause. We got a delay.
Okay.
That was good. But in during that delay, they continued to lay the groundwork. They being the planning and zoning board, for example. Um, Here's another another really interesting piece of trivia. Another thing I learned that I didn't want to know. A hyperscale data center like the one going down the road at Bessemer, this so-called Project Marvel. The only marvel about this project is how much our utility bills are going to go up. But hyperscale data centers like Project Marvel in Bessemer, they use more than 10 times the energy of an oil refinery. That is what, I said 18 Walmarts. Well, now we're
Wow.
talking more than 10 times more than an oil refinery. And yet,
Wow.
what happened in the interim? Now, we got the city council to put pause and kick it back to planning and zoning and said, are you guys sure about this? Planning and zoning said, ignored all of us in the audience, including their own residents, and said, yeah, we're sure. This should be light industrial. Yes, like an oil refinery is light industrial,
Mm-hmm.
and this is 10 times the energy use of an oil refinery. That's why our bills are going up, because it's this kind of ridiculousness. And so to throw out another fun saying, artificial intelligence is no match for natural stupidity. Unfortunately.
I know that's right. You know what else? And it almost sounds like, again, if you're able to squeeze out profits, it's like they're getting paid on both ends. They're getting paid to like do the data centers, and the data centers use dirty energy, and they get paid to produce the dirty energy too. So it's like, yeah, so you get paid on both ends. Like, come on, son. That's wild. The greed is out of control.
So
Wow.
it's going back to the city council soon, and I'm not holding my breath, but we're doing what we can.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I do want to say practically, just to plug it in, beloveds, if you're using your Google searches or any other search that you're doing um, on the internet, all you have to do when you put it in, just type in the minus sign and then AI, and it won't engage AI. Uh, so, for instance, you can say, how far is Atlanta from Lagos, which I'm sitting in Lagos, Nigeria right now. And then just put minus AI at the end of it. You don't, it won't engage AI. And we can practically, in a real sense and in real time, drive down the demand for these AI data centers. With these AI data centers as well, we've got the zoning, we've got the planning and zoning, we've got the city council, but then there's another line of defense, Cal, that you and and I'm hoping to really get you going now. Maybe even hear a couple of cuss words. Uh, our Public Service Commission. That would be our final line of defense. So where are we with the Public Service Commission? Where are we status wise in working with the Public Service Commission? And let me say too, just for clarification purposes, Cal is lives in Alabama. So we've talked about Georgia previously, but this time we're talking directly about Alabama. What's happening with the Public Service Commission status wise, and how can we best affect the Public Service Commission to possibly look into this?
All right, Rev. Well, you asked me to pull no punches, so I won't. It's the Puppet Service Commission.
Ooh.
I joke. You look up the definition of regulatory capture in the dictionary, and there's a picture of our elected public service commissioners. I could really get into the nerdy energy weeds here. I mean, there's North Alabama that's TVA territory, and that's not Public Service Commission territory. Lower 2/3 of the state, we're talking Alabama Power, which is supposed to be regulated. So as an artificial monopoly, a regulatory monopoly, if you will, the Public and Public Service Commission comes from the original intent was that these people would defend us, the public, against this monopoly, would regulate it. But regulatory capture is in play here. These our puppet service commissioners serve at the beck and call of Alabama Power Southern Company. So bless you, Lindsay, for all you're doing with Power for Southern People, arm in arm. It's vital. And we know things like talking about energy burden here in the Southeast, that Alabama Power and Southern Company in general are among the nation's worst for promoting energy efficiency. They're too busy making money to want us to reduce our energy load and enhance our utility bill. So what can we do? Well, one, this is the most important election in Alabama that very few people, I say no one, but very few people know about. That is, our 3 public service commissioners are elected. And you've heard what's going on in Georgia. Well, it's very similar here. Yeah, we can make a huge impact. I joke the definition of Alabama insanity is the majority of our state voting the way it's always voted and expecting Alabama to stop bringing up the ass end of the nation. We have the votes, we have the power to change, but we've got to think about what we're doing and grow up, wake up, and learn a little. I'm not talking. Y'all don't have to become an energy nerd like me, but pay attention. This is important, and it's your bill that's in stake.
I think what it is, I want to boil down what I'm hearing is it's important. People, we need to be counted. We need to be heard. We need to make sure that we're elevating the narrative, the truth that no, not everybody needs AI. No, it's not necessarily benefiting all of us. It's making our bills go up. It's going to be drinking up all our water. It's going to be taking all of our land. And no, we don't want to just rely on giant corporations and our elected officials to take care of us, because they haven't. And if we don't make sure that we are counted and that we have receipts to show something different, they will continue to bulldoze us and bulldoze our land and do what it is that they want with it. So, in addition to voting in your Public Service Commission race, it's happening in Alabama. We have one here in Georgia. It's happening right now. We're also looking for folks to take a screenshot. You could do a video of you showing you adding minus AI to your search. It could be Google, it could be Bing, whatever search engine you use. What we're looking for people to do is to take a picture and tag it, put a hashtag minus AI. Through that hashtag, we will be tracking people who don't want to have to opt out of AI automatically. They want to be able to opt in. That's the shift. So instead of forcing people to have to use AI and to actively opt out of it, we're trying to change the conversation so that you have to opt in. Who said, I don't remember co-signing and saying I wanted it to be the standard. I don't want people creating standards for me, right? So with your video, with your picture, and with your hashtag, we can create the receipts, and we can create that counter argument, that counter narrative that no, AI is not necessarily for everybody, because we have to deal with our own infrastructure issues right now. We don't have affordable energy. We don't have enough water. We don't have enough housing. We don't have enough food. You know what I'm saying? So those are the conversations we need to have. And so that's the story and the sound that needs to be a whole hell of a lot louder right now.
I would go in to say that you need to know you got a public service commission and that you elect that public service commission. The power is actually in your hands to decide how we move in Georgia, in Alabama, and in Mississippi. Because when we go to the polls and we vote for our folk, we've got as has been mentioned before, there's a public service commission vote that's happening in Georgia right now. Early voting is happening right now, and the final day of voting is November 4th. But we've got 2 seats available that could be for the people. The same thing with the Public Service Commission in Alabama. When the election comes up, get involved. Don't look at it as it's just an election or it's you don't know who these people are, so you don't really care. No, these people decide how much money you pay on your utility bills.
Facts.
In essence, they controlling your pocketbook.
Fact. Every
So
day.
you need to know who these people are for your economic stability.
Amen, Rev.
And not just knowing who they are, but knowing what they passed and what they voting for. When it comes down to these data centers, one, you paying for it. Don't mince it. There's nothing else that there's no other way to put it. I don't want to sugarcoat it. No, you're paying for these data centers to be in your community. Not only are you paying for these data centers to be in your community, but every upgrade that these data centers need to do in order for them to come online and to be active, you paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't bringing jobs in to help your paycheck to be better so that you can pay for this, beloveds. There's not a whole lot of jobs when it comes down to these data centers. So you've got these humongous buildings, monstrosities in your community, sucking up your water. Because I've said it time and time, I'll say it time and time again. These data centers, on average, use approximately an Olympic-sized pool of water per day, and that's your drinking water. That's your drinking water. How long will it take before they get to the point where you can't dip into that no more? Then we fighting for water. It becomes a national security issue
Mm-hmm.
when we all fighting for the same resources.
And then,
But
oh,
hold on, Lindsay. Also,
yeah,
I want to make sure I put in there that we're paying for it with our bills. We're paying for it with our resources. But also, these data centers bring in light pollution, noise pollution, and air pollution.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying for this with your life, with your health. It's taking your wealth, is what we're really trying to tell you. And not just wealth in this aspect or that aspect or that aspect. No, completely.
Mm-hmm.
Your wealth is being robbed from you behind this AI. So we can use minus AI. We can vote. What else can we do? What else can we do to stop this from encroaching on our everyday lives and basically at some point having us working for it versus it working for us? Leslie, you get ready to say something.
I just totally agree with you. And I wanted to say, now it's taking all of those things as well. And the big companies have already told you that they're looking to have AI replace your job too. So, yeah, it's taking your wealth and it's going to take your source of income. They told you that. They said that up front. Your job is going away. Okay. What they didn't tell you, that's also going to take your water and your air. So, you know what I'm saying? So, just to
Yeah.
answer your question, Rev, in my opinion, people need to learn more about AI and how it impacts where they live. People need to figure out who's in control, who's got the dollar bill, who's paying who. We're learning all this at the same time. There's not a lot of information. None of us have really done this before, right? So we're all doing this together. But we have got to learn and understand how this is impacting us. When I'm walking around, when you're walking around, when you're talking to somebody, tell them that your internet AI searches you 6 bottles of water. Tell people that one 18 super Walmart, one super Walmart, and then 18 super Walmarts. That's not just going to be in Bessemer. Matter of fact, I just learned today that often Alabama will follow what's happening in Georgia. Georgia's on a roll with the data centers. They doing it, doing it, doing it. Alabama's like, oh, word, we can do that here too, right? So it's like if we let them get away with it in one place, it kind of gives them license to get away with it in another place. And so the idea is, it sounds like while Georgia may be off and running with the data centers, there's definitely something to be learned from the folks in Bessemer as far as how to slow it down. That's one thing we can do, is we can try to slow things down. We may not be able to stop it, but let's wrap our minds around the true implications of what it looks like to really, honestly, to be relying on storms to replenish our water sources. Is that strategic? Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Droughts are like a whole huge thing. I don't know about y'all, but here in Georgia, I feel like we haven't had rain. I don't remember the last time we had rain. And there will only be more of this to come. And when you have those, dry, wet, dry, all that stuff, it impacts not just the data centers, not just the energy, but like your day-to-day life, right? There's like destruction happens after weather events, right? So not only are you not have enough money to pay your utility bills, but if and when the lights go out, if there's a flood, you got to deal with that too. So we cannot allow the elected officials that we put in office to continue piling on to us. I'm done with being piled on to. And so with that, I will be voting in my public service commission race here in Georgia.
And Lindsay, you made a great point.
Amen.
We don't have to stop these things. We just have to delay long enough. That tech bubble is going to pop sooner or later. We can only hope, as bad as the pop is going to be, that it happens before these monstrosities like Project Marvel get built. Um, but our job is not quite as uphill as hard as it might seem. It is a David and Goliath issue, but we got our sling stone loaded.
The issue that I have with the bubble popping is that usually when bubbles pop in our society, it's black, brown, indigenous, and poor white folk that get hurt the most.
You are absolutely right.
100.
In essence, the most vulnerable are the ones that get impacted the most by it. That the ones that do the least harm are the ones that are impacted the most. And
By
so the
design.
most vulnerable of us
By design.
will be impacted the most.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. When we look at redlining, you look at these data centers, and you can't tell me it don't follow. You look at redlining and you look at industry during the Industrial Revolution, you can't tell me that it didn't follow. So it is always by design where the most vulnerable amongst us are the ones that get impacted the most. But again, beloveds, I need y'all to hear me clearly. We can do something about it. if we pay attention. If we pay attention, we can do something about it. If we pay attention, the problem has been is that none of us have paid enough attention. And so corporations have decided who our public service commission is. In particular, Alabama Power has decided who the public service commissioners are for Alabama. Georgia Power has decided who the public service commissions are for Georgia. Mississippi, the same thing. And so in them deciding, it's never in the best interest of the people. It's always in the best interest of corporations. And excuse me. And so there will continue to put uh, profit over people unless we do something about it to change it. Uh, as I've told you, you can vote for sure. There's a public service commission vote that's happening right now in Georgia. If you're in Georgia, make sure that you get out and vote. Your public service commission is extremely important. You can also use minus AI in your Google searches or in your web searches. Use minus AI at the end of your web search, and that will automatically disengage AI from tagging along on your web searches to give you this AI summary, which helps drive down the demand. Now, once you've done that, as Lindsay has told you already, we ask that you would just hashtag minus AI or send a picture in or even a statement, a testimonial. We would love to have video. What we're really trying to do, y'all, is make this sexy as hell. We want it so irresistible that nobody can look past it. I mean, they just look at it and be like, I got to have some of that. That's what we want. That's what we want. We want it. Do it, do it, do it. So
Hey,
y'all gonna help us to do it, man. We gonna make this thing happen and shine, shine, shine like polished brass. I listen. I need y'all's help to really blow this up. So it's not just a thing of where Georgia's participating. It's not just a thing of where Alabama's participating. Mississippi is participating. We need this worldwide. We don't need it just in the South. We don't need it just in the North. We need it everywhere that people are using minus AI because if we don't slow this bubble down, and we don't stop this bubble from growing anymore, the impact will be that much worse when it does pop because it will pop. Hey, listen, as always, I offer to you love, peace, and light.